I will say Askhad Ulikhanov, should he go on to a great career, would be in good company. Juan Manuel Marquez actually began his career with a DQ loss. Did not lose again for 6 years.
Askhad Ulikhanov, of course, in his corner over there. Madi Askayev, one of his training partners, and another one of the stablemates under Egis Klimas, one of the top managers in the sport of boxing. Represents a lot of these Kazakh fighters.
Harris, of course, coming off a loss in May to Aaron McKenna, an undefeated opponent. Like many of the opponents we'll see tonight, been match tough early on in his career.
You see already that left hand locked and loaded for Ulikhanov. And he's just pawing with that lead right, just trying to measure for what we all know is coming, Chris, that big left hand.
The combination of the look on his face and the stalking style, Ulikhanov looks like he's in on an ending that his opponent isn't in on.
Yeah, if looks could kill, Harris would be in big trouble.
If looks could kill, that left hand probably will.
Harris won his debut. He has yet to win since, but that was a knockout.
Followed that up with a draw, and then coming off of a couple of losses.
Harris.
Nasty body shot from Ulikhanov. Changed the facial expression of Harris there.
I thought if anything would change, it would be how the hair is looking. That looks like a 8 hours in the makeup chair process to get his hair that good.
Ulikhanov has already touched the liver of Harris.
Actually reminded Harris to go downstairs. That was a decent right to the body he landed.
But that body shot has definitely inspired a little bit more motion from Darela Harris here. Oh, slapping body shot again from the left side. Ulikhanov.
I've sparred with many a former Soviet Republic fighter, and every single one of the southpaws, they will answer every right hand you throw with a straight left. You can take that to the bank. Counter-punching is taught to everyone, but especially to the southpaws in that program.
Momentarily ago, Harris had tried to work inside, go to the body, and he paid for it in a big way. But this stoic pushing forward by Ulikhanov, ice water in the veins, as you talked about those Eastern European fighters.
First of all, the training regimen they go through is very grueling. Vasily Zhirov of Kazakhstan, the same country Ulikhanov is from, famously was often pushed into the Ural Sea, or the Aral Sea, by his trainer and forced to swim ashore as part of the training. He'd have attack dogs sicked on him in hotel hallways and have to get around him to work on his footwork.
Oh my goodness.
So compared to the wind sprints I was doing in alleys in Hawthorne, that's not too bad.
Yeah, talk about the dog days of summer, as we are now inside 20 seconds to go in the first round. A measured pace here by Askhad Ulikhanov.
Harris's offense is beginning to flow a little bit better.
Yeah.
It's not landing as yet.
It's because the offense from Ulikhanov has pretty much stopped.
Right, Ulikhanov just landed a low shot there.
Well, that's what got him in trouble in his first outing here in Bash Boxing. Round one comes to a close. Round two coming your way.
One of our lovely ring card girls as we look for some footage from the last round. A round I think was still controlled by Ulikhanov and did very much by ring generalship. Even when he wasn't throwing, he was in charge and looked the part. That's the hardest thing to teach.
Certainly not a ton of volume by Ulikhanov, but certainly some effective body shots that made Darela Harris second guess blitzing in. Some effective movement as well. We'll see if anybody can really establish their will here in round number two. All our previous fights tonight scheduled for 4. This scheduled for 6 rounds of action. Body shot there by Harris.
Ulikhanov just looking to counter now, using that jab. It's what my old boxing trainer used to call instigating the counter. You feign with the jab, instigate a response, and then counter on the response. But I'd like to see a little bit more volume from Ulikhanov.
Good right hand
nice
there by
right hand from Darela Harris.
Followed it up to the body, which is you definitely should do.
And perhaps it's the lack of volume by Ulikanov that is allowing some confidence here by Darela Harris.
Harris's trainer imploring him to maintain the rhythm.
1, 2, 3, don't forget your hook.
Certainly more activity in the early going of round 2 by Darela Harris, but he is now cornered by Ulikanov, who starts to let it fly himself.
Yeah, it's obvious now that Ulicanov's really investing heavy in that body attack.
Harris warned for holding by referee Ray Corona.
See something, take it.
Let's see if that investment starts to pay dividends. So far, Darela Harris doing a good job of keeping his feet moving here. Not presenting an easy target for Ulikanov.
Second opportunity to see Ulikanov here in Bash Boxing, as we mentioned about. Certainly not the debut that he wanted last time out. Looking to rectify that here tonight against Darela Harris.
But in a way, that's good, to get rid of that undefeated record. I never liked the idea of protecting an undefeated record. You get guys fighting once or twice a year, very much cherry-picking opponents. The undefeated record was not something that was really thought of as even indicative of a good fighter until people like Marciano and Chavez and others were able to rack up big records. But let me remind all the boxing fans, they did their share of record padding. In fact, only Mayweather and to a much lesser extent Finito Lopez reached 50-0 and 51-0-1 respectively, fighting mostly at the championship level. Most fighters with long unbeaten records got it for a reason, and a reason that many others could. They were padded records or maybe got a few decisions they didn't deserve. Fight fans have shown again and again that they do not care. They want entertaining fighters, fighters they can cheer for. A couple of losses don't matter, as Pacquiao's continued numbers show.
Ulikanov continues to stalk. We'll see if he will increase the volume of punches.
10 seconds.
Might not have an opportunity here in round 2, though, because it is close to coming to a close. And right now, Harris is on his bicycle. Round 2 comes to a close. And more of the same, although a good start to round 2 by Darela Harris.
I got to tell you, but perhaps the strategy for that last minute was thinking that maybe he'd won the early part of the round and let me avoid contact. You could make an argument, certainly. Harris did the earlier good work. More steady body work. Say from Ulikanov in that round. This is probably some of the early action when he had the rhythm going.
Nice one.
Some work there by Ulikanov as well, though, out of the clinch. So if Harris thought he did enough to win that round, that might not be the case. From the looks of later action in round 2, this one again scheduled for 6 rounds of action. So Ulikanov and Harris with 2 more rounds to work to establish here than the previous fights that were all scheduled for 4. Nice shot by Harris. Set it up with the jab.
Harris is definitely starting in the rhythm that his corner keeps referring to. However, all it takes is a few body shots from Ulikanov to get him out of that rhythm, it seems.
You're good. You're good.
No question, when Ulikanov lets those body shots fly, he is certainly a power puncher. We'll see if he can pick up the pace.
You ask me, Ulikanov's being too patient, gentlemen. I don't think he's taking the initiative nearly enough. He's pawing with that jab and trying to land a left to the body or the head. Needs to mix in the right hook, right uppercut, and throw more combinations.
Now he's starting to let that left hand go, but for the first 2 rounds, it's pretty much been by his ear.
That right hook actually seemed to throw Harris off balance. I mean, Harris's constant movement makes it hard to establish combinations, but you've got to throw them anyway.
But you're seeing more volume now from Ulikanov.
One of the more famous heavyweight volume punchers, because there aren't many. Most of them throw 1-2 at a time. Of the last 20 years, Ike Beabuchi looked very bad against Chris Bird, missing by a foot sometimes, but he threw combinations knowing that one would eventually land, and of course they did, and he won the fight.
More action, yes, go ahead.
I say due to his own personal issues, it was the last fight of his career.
More activity in this round thus far by Ulikanov after the early flurry by Harris.
Oh, nice left hand from Ulikanov, but Darrell doing a good job of circling to his left to get out of the range of that power shot.
Professional fighters, it really doesn't matter how hard you hit. If you see the punch coming, very few people are getting knocked out by punches they see coming. Maybe they're really heavy-handed. But for the most part, you're going to have to get him looking one way and catch him the other. That's how you score knockouts at this level.
A more aggressive Ulikanov here in round 3 than we've seen thus far in the fight. Starting to put punches together.
Yeah, and he's putting punches together very intelligently. He's not showing any desperation, Todd. Nice left hand. Right to the jaw of Harris. Harris tied up after that.
Ulikanov holding him still, measuring with the right jab. Hooking behind the left, which you always should do.
More good work by Ulikanov late in the 3rd round.
Ulikanov looking very comfortable in there right now. Harris, not so much.
So a different story there in round 3 as Ulikanov turns it on, well, at least in some respect.
Yeah, absolutely. Ulikanov really showing a little bit more ferocity in his punches, putting together more volume, landing that left hand, setting up the right, boom, pulling the trigger with that left hand. He's a sniper with that straight left hand, has it cocked the whole fight, and now he's starting to let it go. So I expect the 4th round to be even better for Askhad Ulikanov.
You get the feeling almost that Harris is trying to go 6 to get 6 rounds under his belt. However, it's still too early to say that. Perhaps he's still just trying out different strategies. But I actually like the way he started the last 2 rounds with that rhythm, but he's getting thrown off of it when he gets caught with that straight left.
Yeah, Harris had a quick start to the previous 2 rounds, but couldn't keep that pace throughout the round, allowing Ulikanov to go on the attack in the later parts. We'll see how round 4 plays out. In our earlier fights, this would be the final round, but this one's scheduled for 6. Right hook seconds ago by Ulikanov. Tries to follow with the straight left. It's power punch.
Harris doing a good job of circling again to his left. If he circles back to his right like that, he's going right into that power shot. So I would recommend him continuing circling to his left.
Earlier I mentioned the lack of volume by Ulikanov, allowing some confidence to well up for Harris, but now the other way around as Ulikanov seems very cool, calm, and collected in there.
It's one punch at a time, a tap and then a grab. That doesn't show the referee or judges that you want to win.
Perhaps that's a little testament to the volume of Ulikanov, because earlier in the fight, Harris was able to land on the inside.
Yeah, Ulikanov was only throwing one at a time, or
right.
Combinations sparingly. Now he's throwing more punches and bunches.
Time.
And he might be getting a penalized here, or just a very sturdy warning for holding. Well, who knows? Ulikanov may be on the other side of a DQ here if this continues.
No doubt about it. Last time Ulikanov was here in Bash Boxing, disqualified for the low blows. Couple of warnings to Harris for holding. No points taken thus far.
So this is Ulikanov's first time in this far. Last 2 wins were in the 2nd round. Of course, the DQ took place in the 1st. So he's never been past 2 rounds before tonight, at least as a professional.
Another warning from the referee for Harris, I think, for leading with his head there.
Wasn't a bad hook there by Harris.
And a nice right hand from Harris. When Askhad decides to take his foot off the gas pedal, that's when Darrell comes to life, Chris.
Yep.
But can he land punches when his opponent is also throwing?
Well, not only that, he hasn't really thrown much that Ulikanov wasn't ready for in some form or another, either by having his feet more under him.
Time!
Referee calling for time again. 1 point being taken now by Darela Harris.
For what?
I'm not sure what it is, but he looks absolutely gassed, gentlemen.
Pay attention, dude. Pay attention. Come on. Time in. You're almost there.
I think the referee
Round 4.
not happy with the, Harris being on his bicycle quite so much.
Oh, yeah, no, this is California, where Jack Reese took 2 points away from Andre Ward and Edwin Rodriguez for what he thought was shaping up into a dirty fight. Referees here not afraid to step out of the normal role of a referee and think of the fans as well.
Did he get punished for timidity?
10 seconds.
If it's working, no. But if it's also mixed in with what he feels to be dirty tactics, then yes. And at this point, this is just avoidance. He's not really engaging. Now he is.
And now you hear the boo birds come out.
And the crowd letting him have it. The commissioner is in the ring with him. Well, he's got the energy to mug for the crowd. But I'll tell you what, the corner not too happy with him either.
I think he thinks the fight's over.
Someone needs to tell him that this is a 6-round fight. Or we've been told incorrectly. 6-round fight. 6 rounds. 6 rounds. 6 rounds. 6-round fight.
Someone's got to get those cornermen involved in the fight here.
Either we've been told incorrectly or they've been told incorrectly.
Official calling for time here is some discrepancy in whether this was a 4 or 6 round fight.
Well, now it explains what Darela Harris was doing. He thought it was a 4-round fight. He was just trying to last the distance.
And that's going to do it. So says the official.
And there's been a major confusion over the amount of rounds. I've seen this at the higher levels, gentlemen. Gloves cut off at the end of 8 rounds, at the end of 10, thinking it was going to be a 12.
Steve Bash is talking to head inspector Sean Wells over there. They'll get it straightened out.
Well, the gloves are not fully off of Ulikanov. He only has to replace tape. And I believe the same is true for Harris. It will not take much time to glove them both back up, should the next 2 rounds need to be. Personally, gentlemen, I don't need to see 2 more rounds of this.